Welcome back. The Khampepe Commission of Inquiry, established to investigate the political suppression of investigations and prosecutions related to truth and reconciliation cases, is scheduled to start its public hearings on Monday. The commission was formed following mounting pressure from families seeking justice for apartheid-era crimes that remained unprosecuted despite TRC recommendations in May this year by President Cyril Ramaphosa. For more, we are joined by Lionell Adendorff, who's the spokesperson of the Khampepe Commission. Lionell, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's finally taking place on Monday. And what's the state of readiness for these public hearings?
Marcel, thank you so much. It's always nice being with you and talking to your viewers about what we do. It is indeed true that we are ready and set to go and start with our hearings on Monday the 10th. All the work that we have done from the 1st of August, putting in processes, appointing the right people, calling for evidence and documents, going through it, appointing all the systems and making sure that all the systems are in place. And then also on top of that, having the two pre-hearing engagements with affected and interested parties really made us, prepared us well for this event. And the Commission and the commissioners are obviously very hyped and ready to go. And we are certain that we have done everything that we could to make sure that there would be no hiccups, no flare-ups, no problems, and no disruptions going forward.
Yeah, and also as you're speaking about the work that you do as well, how important it is, if you could just remind our viewers again of the role of the Commission and its need following the recommendations made over 2 decades ago from the TRC.
That's a very, very good place to start. 23 years ago, the Amnesty Committee of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission referred, or they then granted amnesty to some who applied for amnesty, and they then denied amnesty to those who they thought did not give them all the information or took the commission into its confidence and made an honest and transparent proposal or told the truth, basically. And then they referred around 3,000, we estimate, cases to the police for further investigation, and then also to the NPA for prosecution. And as we know, over these 23 years, very little has happened to these cases. And then there was obviously the Kalata and others versus government that was recently in the Pretoria North High Court, that then agreed that there should be a commission of inquiry to understand why these delays happened, and then if anyone is to blame for it, and also, as the court heard at the time, whether there was any political interference. The president then took it very serious, and he then established the Commission of Inquiry, headed by a former constitutional Court Justice Sisi Khampepe, and she would be assisted by the Northern Cape Judge President Diale Khomo and Advocate Andrea Gabriel SC. And together, they have then established the inquiry, the administration, the secretariat, and now we are ready to understand exactly what has happened over the last 23 years or what has not happened over the last 23 years. And it is important for us to establish that because some people feel, and they still continue to hold the view, that very little to nothing has happened. And the president appointed the TRC Cases Inquiry to establish exactly what went wrong or what happened over these many years, and to then come with recommendations to advise him on how to take it forward. And that is, as I said, we've started on the 1st of August to put all the systems in place to reach out to former presidents and current presidents, ministers who had responsibility over these matters, whether it was in police or in justice and constitutional development, whether it was police commissioners at a provincial and national level, or NPA directors. So we asked all of them to help the Commission with information relevant to the case that would then advance the terms of reference of the TRC Cases Inquiry.
And so just to be clear, Lionell, so this commission is not, of course, to go back and rehash what was already established by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This commission is to establish what the delay over the past 23 years has been.
Yes, correct. But it is more about the cases that were referred to the police, that the TRC referred to the police for further investigation or to the NPA for further prosecution. And as I said, we estimate that it is around 3,000 cases. And we want to understand what happened to each and every case that was referred to either the police for further investigation or to the NPA for prosecution, because we believe that every family impacted by this delay, every family who has complained about a particular incident, they deserve the truth. They deserve justice. And it is our belief and our role and responsibility to make sure that we get to the bottom of it.
You know, you also mentioned reaching out to all those involved as well to try and get all that information and also get them to also be a part of the hearings too. Some of these delays were caused over, over 2 decades. How challenging was it to try and get a hold of all these people as well? And were most of them still even alive?
When we're talking about reaching out to former ministers and former police commissioners and NPA directors, it has been easier, obviously, to get hold of those who are currently occupying the positions. But there are, obviously, in the case of Jackie Selebi, who has passed on. There are also other ministers who were important and played a crucial role in this, who are no longer with us. But we are hoping and relying on the institutional memory that the SAPS, for instance, would have, or that the NPA would have, or that the Department of Justice or the Ministry of Justice, to just use them as examples, would have. And so while we understand that some of them may no longer be with us, we do hope that whatever is available, whether it's minutes of particular meetings where this matter was discussed, or whether it is recordings of engagements with either senior officials, or whether it was a report on a particular case that might still be with the SAPS or even with the NPA, that they would furnish us with those documents and recordings and images and videos or whatever they have, so that we can get to the bottom of it and so that we can establish the truth for the people who have been yearning for it for all these years.
And speaking of the people who've been yearning for it as well, in this process of justice for the families that have been waiting for decades, how much closer does the Khampepe Commission bring them to that justice?
One, I think Justice Khampepe is extremely concerned that over the years, many of those who have been accused of some of the most violent and inhumane atrocities are no longer with us. And that is why she is, and with our commissioners, are concerned that after all these years that some people might have died. Let's take for an example, if someone was doing something bad in the 1970s. And that means that in the late 1970s, that is now 40 years ago. And then 25 years ago, or let's assume he was 30 at the time. It means that he might be 70 or 80 at the moment. So he might be of age, or he might even be late. So it's very sad that we would not be able to get the justice to that family who have later complained against that person. But also on the other side, our commissioners are equally concerned that the victims who were perhaps in their 50s, 30 years ago, when they complained to the TRC, those widows might now be even 80, or some of them might not even be alive at this point. And our commissioners remain concerned that the process has been taking long, that justice has been delayed in those cases, but it is our resolve to do our work within the necessary period allowed, and then to bring the justice to those families who have, as I said, been longing for it, been complaining about it, been taking the government to court about it. And that is our job, and we hope to finish that within the time allowed.
Now, what assurances will there be that, post this commission, prosecutions will follow and not be delayed yet again for another 23 years?
That is the one thing that Justice Khampepe, Judge Diale Homo, and Advocate Gabriel cannot guarantee. All that we have to do is to look into these matters and then hear evidence and then make recommendations to the president. And it is up to the president to then implement and then follow up with the recommendations. Unfortunately, once we have listened to the evidence, once we have drafted our report, and once we have submitted it to the president, it is all in the president's hand. We are not a court of justice or of law, and we cannot make findings that are binding. We unfortunately only make recommendations to the president, and he will then implement. It is, however, the hope of the commissioners, obviously, that the commission, our report should be it should be credible. Our findings should be of the highest standards. And then that once we have established those two, that the president would then be able to take the recommendation serious. And we hope that he would then implement it so that we do not delay this for another 23 years.
Lionell Adendorff, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.